Wow.
Now, is this something?
This is spectacular.
She's lovely, just lovely.
You don't even know where you are. Where are you?
I don't know where I am. It's just absolutely lovely. This is just delightful. Gorgeously done. What else can I say? Hi there, this is Captain Q. Join us as we travel hither and yon to show you some great deals on some really interesting boats and maybe learn just a little bit with each one. Oh my God, I'm out of breath. Oh, now today, river.
You don't even know where you are. Where are you?
I don't know where I am. We're back up on the Royal River. We're back up on the Royal River. So glad to see you up here.
You're not that glad.
So we have a boat here today. There's a company called Vindo. Vindo Yachts over on the west coast of Sweden, who for 30, 40 years or so were building almost all wooden boats that just happen to have a fiberglass outside. With the Vindos, the whole interior is beautiful mahogany, but the exterior is beautiful mahogany, antique. So you can't tell whether you're on a wooden boat, completely wooden boat, or a fiberglass boat. In this case, though, it is a fiberglass hull, and I believe they had them molded in England to Lloyd's specifications. So it's a heck of a strong hull. And then they took it over to Sweden, and the craftsmen there did some amazing work with their wood laminates and so on, and the teak decking that they laid down. And the interior, sort of like somebody mentioned recently, like a little Stradivarius. Beautifully put together. Don't be confused.
I get easily confused.
I know you do. A 50 is just a number they seem to have assigned to it. It's just a number that alludes to a boat that happens to be 35 feet long. And I think you're going to be impressed with it. It kind of echoes Scandinavia in scope and size, utilitarian aspects of it, and the comfort level. In America, we like things bigger and broader, like the great outdoors in the West and so forth. And so our boats kind of look like that a little bit. Anyway, this is the Vindo 50 with a nice long keel to her. Cutaway at the bow. This is not full-length keel, but it is sort of a standard length keel with slack bilges. Remember, not long ago we just did a Cal 40 that had the nice tight bilges. These are slack, meaning they go down at this angle to meet the keel, and it actually provides a little more volume inside the boat. Another nice thing about it too, it provides space somewhere in here for deep bilges that will allow any water that gets into the boat, any intrusion, to find its way down to the bilge area and keep the lockers and so forth under berths dry. This is lovely. This is an ablative paint on here, an ablative black paint, and we'll give it a test. Yep, it's getting a little bit off here, even though it's cold. The boot top is in great shape, but what really is remarkable, and the owner tells us, the current owner who has had this boat for 30 years, this is truly the original gel coat on the boat.
Wow.
I'm not certain how they managed to keep it like this particularly. It's quite unusual, but it's remarkably well done.
What's this little through hull here?
Probably has something to do with a breather for a water tank, or could even be a breather for the anti-siphon loop in the head. But she's lovely, just lovely. Let's take a look down at her backside. There you are.
Oh.
Gotcha. All right, nothing too unusual back here, but again, this is all original stuff. Nice three-bladed prop. Still got a good piece of zinc on her. It's been eaten up a little bit, just a little bit here, which shows that she's been around some electrolysis, but all of this is very tight. It's just a nice design, nice,
What's this
smooth.
little bump here?
Oh, this little bump brings water in to cool the shaft, okay? Just a little intake in there for the stuffing box, just to keep that stuffing nice and moist and doing its job without sinking the boat or without carving up the shaft with dry packing.
Constellation rudder?
Sort of along that line. That was back in the period where they had a little smaller section up here and then expanding down deeper, which makes a certain amount of sense because you will get a certain amount of air intrusion when the boat heels over up here So this won't be doing as much as more mass down below would be doing to help you control the vessel. But I'm very excited. Let's take a look at this. We'll get up on deck and see a couple of interesting things that you might not normally see on an American boat. One of which is a tabernacle.
Oh.
Do you know what a tabernacle is?
It's a choir?
Sounds like it's a choir.
Wow.
Now, is this something?
This is spectacular.
This Vindo boat was built by a man named Carl Anderson. Like a lot of people, like old Henry Hinckley, started building fishing boats. That's what everybody did in the old days. Later on, he graduated into building small cruising boats. They had a 28 and a 29 footer that were very popular. And then they came out with, this was sort of the first of their bigger boats, this 35. And it sold very well. At some point, Carl, who was running the yard and designing everything, was getting older, and his son Eric said, "Pop, maybe you ought to slide to the side and I'll take over the yard." So Eric did. Eric hired a man named Christopher Rassi and joined up with Hallberg, and they're now building Hallberg-Rassi yachts. Unfortunately, Carl Anderson died in 1979, and a year later the yard went into bankruptcy. They really had some wonderful craftsmen. This particular boat was sold to a Swedish doctor who sailed it all around Sweden and then took off and sailed it to the Med and then through the Suez Canal and went west to east through the Pacific and back up and ended in Seattle area. And in Seattle, another gentleman found the boat and bought it, and then he took it up to Alaska. And then the man in Alaska, somebody bought it from the man in Alaska, brought it down here to Maine area. And the present owner found the boat, and he bought it 30 years ago. The boat has been a long way. They've sailed up and down to the Bahamas, the Chesapeake, all over. I'm sitting right here in the cockpit. This is the social area of the boat. This is where you're comfortable and cozy. It's so deep that it's like riding in a car with my arm out the window. This is really secure. I'm not going to get thrown out of this boat ever, and beautifully put together. The wheel is a real thing of beauty itself. Most of the boat up on deck, all the dark woods you see are mahogany.
The brightwork is in great shape, isn't it?
The brightwork is in great shape. It does take some maintenance, and that's fairly obvious. It doesn't need to be stated, but it's worth it. You know we like big lockers. Look at the size of that. This is a 35-foot boat. We have to keep remembering 35 feet. We've got 2 full lockers. We've got the barbecue in there. We've got all the paint goods. Very nicely stowed, too. And like a lot of Swedish boats, a lot of boats up in Scandinavia, they need heat. So there's actually a heat exhaust here coming off a diesel-fired hot air heater. GPS on here. And then we've got the Garmin and a radar unit right at the forward of the cockpit. Standing at the wheel, I've got a great view forward. I'm amazed at the size of this boat because it feels like it's more than 35 feet. Here we are, the whole engine is exposed, and we have a nice Volvo diesel here, and clean as a whistle, just sparkling. And this has not been over-painted. A lot of times you can open up engine rooms, and they try to brighten up the engine, and the guy's gone in with a spray can, and you can see spray paint all over the black hoses, and it really doesn't fool anybody. But the one thing I like too, especially looking in this, down in the engine room, you've got to come in here, Randy, look all the way down there. There's about a 5-foot sump down in there. And you can see at the very bottom, the float switch, I believe, for the bilge pump, automatic bilge pump. But look how deep that is. That means that any water that should happen to errantly find its way inside the boat is going to end up in that sump down there. And it's going to keep all the lockers that we've been looking at dry as a bone. And there's a little light here, so at night, when you got to find something, there's a light to be looking for. Problems. Actually, the part of the engine room is even varnished as well. Randy asked me a question if I like the 2 steps getting into the cabin. I love the 2 steps getting into the cabin, but you know what the best thing about that is?
No.
That means if you have a dog, the dog can go up and down the companionway without any trouble. And that's really nice. A nice Dodger. This is a good-looking Dodger, among other things. This has had a little wear and tear, and it's getting a couple spots in places. But it's also got a nice leather covering grab hold right here at the tail edge. And looking at the teak, we've seen teak before, haven't we?
We have.
And we've seen these plugs popping up, haven't we?
Yep.
And we've seen the thiocol that you trip over practically, right? Because
Yep.
it's raised up. Almost non-existent here. The mahogany hatch cover right here is just gorgeous. There's a boom vang here, and this is not a solid. This is a 4-part line that's going to help control that mainsail trim. The spar, the paint on the spar is brand new. Another nice little touch here are the forward mooring cleats. These are beefy as can be, but they've taken them off the deck. So you're not going to come up here and kick your toe on them. And you find that fittings on boats like winches and cleats don't move when you kick them. They don't even vibrate. It just takes your toes off or makes your shin look like raw meat. This teak is just amazing. I'm seeing one little spot here that you want to deal with. Stainless pulpit is very solid. I have another quiz for you, Randy.
Yeah, what do you got?
Why is the pulpit like that?
Let's take a look at the scores.
Can we glue everything together here?
No.
Okay,
There's
I'll
no
do it for
chance.
you. In Europe, they like to go all through Europe on sailboats. So they take the mast out and they lay the mast on the deck. Or they will actually, in some cases, hinge them on this tabernacle piece down here so that this can swing the whole mast aft. And then you lay the whole spar down flat. The grooves at the forward and the after end allow you to get the mast as low as you can. And you now turn into a motorboat that will fit under all the bridges in Amsterdam.
Or France.
Or France. Or Austria. Or Germany.
Germany.
The amount of woodwork that's on here is just wonderful. It's an eye catcher, and it's the sort of thing that will stop people in their tracks when they walk by the boat and say, "Holy Toledo." There's a little after cabin on a 35-footer. Take a look at this. I'm going to go in here. Now, I'm actually still in the after cabin. Looks like I'm still in the cockpit, so not a big difference. But we have a couple of berths in here. The berths go underneath the cockpit a little bit. You can see that how far it goes under. So it's a very clever arrangement, having a little spare cabin back here. I want you to try this right now, Randy. Come on. It's your turn.
Okay.
Randy is now going to sleep. I guess we can go forward. You step down into this, and you now step down into an antique wooden boat. The wood is it just comes at you from all sides. It's wonderful. It's right in the air here. And this is just delightful. I am bathed in the essence of mahogany woods. I feel like I'm on a boat from the 30s, from something built in Aberking and Rasmussen or an old Alden wooden design. It just smells of wood. There are no errant smells in this boat. I'm standing in the galley. Now, this isn't as big a galley as some we've seen on American yachts. We have a 2-burner stove. That'll cook up enough food. Here's a nice little cutting board there, put over the sink. Nice sized sink right in the middle of the boat. That's not going to flood when the boat heels one way or the other. Some sinks are too far outboard, and that can be a problem. I'm looking at a great ice box, and this is quite deep down here, and it goes down and it goes back in under a little bit. So that puppy is going to keep your food cold for a long time. Behind it, nice locker storage here. This is one finger moves these little mahogany panels back and forth, just flawlessly. Nice countertop cover. Again, nothing is oversized. Everything is just beautifully done. And look at the finish on here. And there's a little dust catcher. Okay, navigation station. And this is pretty tremendous. And it has a seat on, if you don't mind sitting on the engine. I'd certainly sit here and navigate all day long. I might put a cushion on the engine box just for the old bum here. And then when I finish navigating, then I can turn over here and stir up the soup and pour out some glug. Glug. Tidy boat. This is an extremely tidy boat. Oh, wow. Look at the pot and pan storage. And right next to it, we think we have a nice hanging locker, probably for foul weather gear, I would say, because it's right adjacent to the companionway. You come down, take up your file with the gear hanging in there. The owner is also currently revising the Taft's Maine Coast Cruising Guide. Absolutely every nook and cranny on the coast of Maine. Coming into the main salon, we have a nice U-shaped settee here. And as usual, oh, look at that. The measuring stick fits, and we got in there without any real problem. It was easy as pie, huh? So there we go. Now, look at that. There is a giant, these lines here are going to tie off. You're going to have a pilot berth here, and then with this table drop down, it's going to become, I don't know, maybe the world's second largest main salon double, next only to the Choi Lee Offshore 41 that still holds that title in our book. That, of course, had the Poconos special. Looking over to my left here, you see another outlet for the cabin heater. And this boat also has passive heating elements running through the boat off the engine that will keep the boat nice and dry, even in the summertime when you think, oh, I don't need heat in the summer. But it does. It takes the dampness out of the boat. It's really wonderful. I'm very comfortable sitting in this settee. Actually, I'm really surprised at the room for a 35-footer. We were on a 35-footer. Oh, our Seabreeze.
Yeah.
Lovely boat. Great room space. But this is interesting.
This feels 5 feet longer than the Seabreeze.
Yes, it actually does.
I keep staring at the overhead here with these.
It's handsome, isn't it?
Laminated ribs.
Everything is very nicely done. More space for you. That you get another big double, and there's filler cushions for this, or you can just use it for storage if you want to. I love all these little lockers just fly open, and look at the finish on the inside of them. And that finish has been there since 1974.
It's remarkable.
It is remarkable.
This reminds me of the Bermuda 40 little hand grabs here.
Well, that's very convenient, exactly. They've also got the ones overhead. And this is what I really like here. The Bomar hatches are tight and new. There's no corrosion on anything. You notice anything missing in here? Okay, I'm going to help you out because I know this is a short
Yeah, I need a hint.
A mast.
Ah.
There's no mast.
Yeah, deck stepped, right?
Deck step mast. This is a hanging locker. Look at the inside of all those lockers. They're all varnished and just gorgeous. Really gorgeous. Other side. We do have a head. Does that have the China bowl there? It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
One of the nice features that people like to see on these boats is the China bowl. It goes hand in hand with a period piece of workmanship of mahogany. The variation in trim colors they've got, it's really handsome. Forward here is the V-berth. The compartment is beautifully finished out with just surrounded with mahogany and ash. That might be ash, some of that yellow wood. And this is nice having them low down like this. Just makes it easier to get in and out of. I don't know, what do you think they are?
Probably climbing in and out of the hatch.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nice little steps here. You get in and out of the hatch. And you'll be surprised at how much room is here. Because, look at that. Whoa!
That's pretty great.
Yep, and there's some good roll around room. And I'm very comfortable. See all these little holes here? This is all for ventilation, for spaces underneath these lockers, which keeps air moving through the boat. And it's one reason why this boat is so sweet smelling. It's surprisingly efficient, this little space. And you got your own companionway, shall we call it, to get out. So very nice. Very nice. This is very nice. And I know how nice this boat's going to be when the heat turns on in here. Randy, I think we just had a trip to Scandinavia this afternoon. We had a chance to come out the Royal River here and take a look at a Vindo 50. And that's not 50 feet long. Remember, we remind you this is 35 feet long. One of the loveliest boats we've seen. Swaths and teak decks and mahogany cabin sides and below decks. Somebody's alluded to that the brightwork and the joinery as being Stradivarius-like. It's just absolutely lovely. The cockpit, we love cockpits. This is the deepest cockpit we've seen yet. A nice compact boat, and the funniest thing about it was trying to bear in mind that the boat was only 35 feet long. It felt like much bigger than that. This was a spectacular boat. This was really, really wonderful. There was nothing really to diminish about the boat. We would give this a serious recommendation. So this boat, to answer your question,
Is it a blue water boat?
it will be a blue water boat. This is a good find and really fun. This is how they do it in Europe. The finish is European. It's just beautifully done boat. I think this is gets a rating of, we'll start out with
10.
10.
It floats.
It floats, and on top of that, I've got to give it a 17.5. This is a seriously good boat. Very good boat.
Randy needs you to add +1 because of all the wood.
Oh, all right. In that case, Randy, shaking his head. No, we need 18.5?
18.8.
18.8, okay. We'll go with 18.8 for this boat. If you like wood, you'll fall in love. This is a wooden boat that just happens to have a fiberglass hull. Are you sure it's running?
Yeah.
How do you know it's running? Oh,
I'm the director.
You're the director, I forgot that. This is Randy, the director of the Captain Q episode. This, of course, is Sea Dog right here. And we really want to thank all of you out there for staying with us and bearing up with our
Learning curve.
learning curve, a little bit of silliness.
Yeah, thanks so much to everybody for watching, subscribing, interacting, and telling us your thoughts. We really appreciate how quickly it's grown and looking forward to a lot more episodes. And there we go. We got the right shot, right?
If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, please hit the alert bell. And that's not desperate at all. We're having too good a time doing these things. So you're going to hit the bell or not.